Good afternoon. It is time for another installment of Heritage and History with Maureen Taylor and
Amy Johnson Crow.
yes. And if you're wondering why it looks like I'm sitting in the dark, it's because it's raining so hard outside. It is dark out. So we've been hacking around trying to make my screen brighter. Anyway, here we are. This is October 2018.
Happy Family History Month.
I know, it's such a big deal, isn't it? It feels like it. It feels like Christmas.
Yeah, it does. Of course, I was talking to somebody, like last week when October started, which I don't know, October seems like it's already been going on for years.
Yes.
But we were talking about, Family History Month, and she's like, isn't that every month? She has a point.
She has a point. She has a point. So we've had a little technical difficulties here in the background while we've been getting ready to go. So usually we talk about websites and books and in the news, and we usually do it in reverse order to that. But today we're going to open a couple of websites I wanted to show you, and then we're going to exit out of them so that I don't have the lag that I had a few minutes ago. And we're going to hope that that works. Otherwise, I will be talking, and then about a minute later, you'll see me move my mouth.
Yeah, it's going to be like one of those really poorly dubbed movies. The lips move, and then you hear it.
Yeah, well, actually, you know what? Let's start with a general question that just popped into my head.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're watching, and we have just a few people, I think everybody's glued to the TV watching the hurricane destruction, which is horrible. What have you done for Family History Month?
Good question.
Have you thinking about anything special? I know some people buy DNA kits, although I haven't seen any DNA kit sales.
I was kind of surprised by that there weren't. I think that there was one in Canada. I think Ancestry DNA might have had one in Canada, but that was like a promotion before Canadian Thanksgiving. As for me, I'm kind of doubling down on let's get some analysis done of notes I've already taken. Mm-hmm. Instead of just accumulating more and more and more. Let's go back. I've got a couple problems, a couple challenges that I'm working through, and so that's what I'm doing, is just kind of going and taking that little deeper dive into what I already have, so I can make a better plan going forward.
One of our listeners, June, who's always with us,
hey, June.
She's learning new DNA research techniques, and that's a good thing to do.
Awesome.
Yep, look at this. Oh my goodness. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You know you're not.
No.
June has a surprise for you.
She has a surprise. Woo! Hey, cousin June. I'll have to go into the app and see. The only way, okay, so the We're Related app has driven me nuts.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay, it's fun and and all that, but it would never update for me. Never. It's like once I
still have it.
Once I got those first few, hey, you're related to such and so famous person, and here's your Facebook friends you're related to, I never got any more. The only way, and I just discovered this a couple weeks ago, and I'm talking about like I downloaded the app the week it came out.
Right.
And it never updated for me. I tried uninstalling it, reinstalling it, never worked. So last week, I went in and I assigned myself as someone else in the tree. I went into the tree and I said that I am my mother. That's the only way I'm getting updates.
Okay, so June said she had to check it daily.
I was checking it. I was going in, I was refreshing.
It's on your phone, right?
Yeah.
I thought I still had it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not checking it enough. Yeah. So here's my little weird connection. I took some writing classes and, just finished. That's actually my secret thing, is that I've been learning to write fiction just for fun. And I've been trying to get together with a couple of people in the class, and we've been talking through like a little Facebook Messenger group. And He said, "Oh my God, I didn't even know this guy did family history." And he said, "We're related through We're Related."
Oh, that's funny.
And the line he claims we're related on is a line I don't know. Like, I don't even know the name.
Huh.
I
Maybe
have
it's
no idea.
maybe it's a
Like, the
different,
surname is completely foreign to me.
maybe it's a different Maureen Taylor.
Maybe. I said it must be our French Canadian line, and he said he had something else.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you get French Canadian, you're all somehow connected.
We're all somewhat related. Exactly. Pretty much. Although some of us haven't been able to figure out that connection yet. Yvonne is saying that she's catching up on some research this month, so not thinking of Family History Month yet, although that seems like a Family History Month activity to me.
That seems like that seems perfect.
Susan is saying that she started a family day with her grown children, and we tell stories and look at pictures from when they were little. Oh, what a cute idea that is.
Oh, I like that.
Do you record them, Susan? I hope you do.
Yeah.
Record those stories.
Definitely.
So the reason I asked that question is because one of the things I've been thinking a lot about this Family History Month, the DNA doesn't, I've made some great discoveries this year with the DNA, and I don't know enough, and I have a whole stack of stuff to go through when I have a minute, which may never, ever happen. But I'm going to hope it does, I just went to New Orleans last week, and I can tell you're looking at We're Related.
Yeah.
We just went to a family wedding in New Orleans. It was a destination wedding, one of those things. And it was on my dad's side of the family. So it's my first cousin's daughter. And it's an interesting little thing. And I know this happens to other people as well. So when I say this, I'm not going to I don't want anybody to say, "Oh, that's awful." But my dad and his brother had a falling out. My uncle moved to California. My dad stayed here. And they didn't talk for 30 years.
Wow.
20 years, 25 years, something like that. Some crazy number of years.
Wow. So
I had these two cousins I didn't know anything about. And now I do. Now I know her. And she's wonderful. And we hit it off. But in the course of knowing her, it made me think, like, I hardly know relatives on my dad's side. I have two people that I now keep in touch with. And it's interesting what we do. One of them collects menus and does sort of historical stuff, which is kind of interesting. When he says, "Oh, have you been to this library?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been to that library." My husband's like, "Weird. This is totally weird. This is that family geek connection." I don't know.
That's awesome.
I thought you were unique, but now I find there are other people like you. And the other cousin does something very cool as well. She's out there on the leading edge of the autism spectrum with what she studies, which is very cool.
Very cool.
But her daughter got married this past weekend, and it was great. But I'm like, okay, so I have two. And then I started to think, maybe there are more out there that I don't even know, that maybe I walk down the street and pass them.
Yeah.
Since one of the cousins lives 15 minutes from me. And didn't know him. So I've started building in the tree forward from my grandparents, my grandfather on the Taylor side. There's not that many of us. And that's really sad. Actually, I got really sad when I was doing it yesterday, because the line not only daughters out, it dies out.
Oh.
They're really, there's no one to carry the line forward.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, all those years I laughed about those trees with its cut off stumps. I was like, I am one of those stumps, pretty much.
Oh, no.
It's terrible to think about. But anyway, we have some other people, and then I'll tell you why I went there. But June is saying that she's related to John Smith. I have my line to Samuel, 3 generations below the hint. So,
yeah,
you know,
I'll have to see if I can find that.
A DNA hint. Son-in-law's mother with a cousin. They're now communicating with each other. Yeah, it happens.
It does.
The DNA stuff is very cool. But anyway, in the course of being in New Orleans. This is where I share my screen, and I'm going to share it now. So if I have this delay, we'll know what it is. If you ever go to New Orleans, you have to go. And I remember thinking, oh, how good could this be? The National World War II
Yes.
Museum.
Yes. I love that place.
Yes. Have you been?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Oh my God.
Been there twice.
So was your dad in the war?
No,
too young.
no, he was. No, he's the right age. No, he wasn't, but my uncle was.
His older brother.
His older brother. Yeah. He served. He was in the Navy in the South Pacific. He was a storekeeper.
Right. And I think, that's something I started to think about, these World War II connections. Like, my dad was in the war. Mm-hmm. He didn't see any battle, but he was in Hawaii after Pearl Harbor. And then he always talked about going to he was in Japan. So he went to Okinawa after the Battle of Okinawa. And I'm so busy doing 19th century and early 20th century history. It's like 20th century history is like, yeah. Then I went to the World War II Museum and I'm like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And I didn't know that. And I didn't know that. And my husband was with me, and his father served in Italy during the war. He was like an aide de camp to somebody.
Yeah.
And then when I went to the wedding, my cousin her father was in the war. So my dad was in the Army. My husband's father was in the Army, but my cousin's father, my father's brother, uncle, was in the Navy. Mm-hmm. And he was only in for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so she was like, I really want you to find out more about his service. And he died. Oh God. My cousin is like just a couple of years older than I am. And her father and mother both died when she was 18.
Oh, wow.
So she doesn't have a whole lot of family history. So she sort of put it on me. She's like, that's right. What you do.
Yeah.
You go and find this. But if you want to get a glimpse of what this museum looks like, go on their website and we'll share that link. I don't know if you can see the screen, but it is, as Amy knows, the most incredible thing. I'm going to try to, won't let me do
Yeah, it's a fascinating museum. I mean, and it's grown a lot since the first time I was there. In fact, the first time I was there, they were still the D-Day Museum.
Oh.
Yeah, and they've since changed their focus. But if anybody's wondering why is the National World War II Museum in New Orleans, well, like I said, it started out as the D-Day Museum, and it's because of the Higgins boats.
Right. The ones that flap down.
The ones that, when you if you saw the beginning of Saving Private Ryan and they're on these boats, and the boats carried the troops from the ships to the beach, or at least close to the beach. And, the kind of square boats and the flaps came down. Well, those were built in New Orleans.
Yes, and that's the reason
that's the tie.
It is 5 buildings now.
Yes, it's huge.
Right. We spent 2 hours, and then we went back the next day and spent another hour.
Oh, yeah.
We have people writing in here. We have June, who says her uncles were in World War II. I have a funny story about one of my uncles and one of my mom's brothers. He was a kind of out of control kid. That's who he was. It's who he was as an adult. And her story about him is that when he wasn't old enough to sign up, so he lied about his age and signed up, and then called his mother every week and said, "Get me out." And my grandmother was I don't know, I never knew her, but supposedly she was quite tough, and she's like, no.
Yeah,
no. You signed up, you got to do your part. Deb is telling us that her dad was in World War II in the European theater.
Mhm.
And Gail is saying that she's been to the World War II Museum and that they host webinars. Who knew that?
Ooh, have to check that out.
I know. We went to the bookstore and I couldn't believe the hundreds of
Yes.
books on the topic.
Well, actually, that book that I talked about a couple of months ago, what was it called? Private Lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I bought that, was in the World War II Museum bookstore.
I didn't have enough time to look in the bookstore.
You always make time to look at the bookstore.
Well, I was with someone who doesn't like to shop.
Oh, jeez.
He gave me like 5 minutes. You know, it was like not enough time.
Cool. 5 minutes at a bookstore?
Yeah,
that's just mean.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so the reason I brought all that up is because I started thinking about the World War II stuff and how I was going to do research and what I was going to do. And I think that, you know, I need to give a shout out to one of our colleagues who has really brought more attention to wartime service. And initially she was just doing World War II research, but she does a lot more than that now. And I'm going to share that screen as well. And that is our colleague, Jennifer Holick.
Oh, she's doing great work.
Yeah, the work that she does, if you don't know who Jennifer Holick is, and what I'm going to do is watch a lot of her videos. There she is. She says she has the magic. And I don't know if I shared it to the screen, probably not. And I believe she does. She does amazing work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you should go on the World War II Research and Writing Center.com. She also has a very active Facebook page. Yeah. You can watch. One of the first things I'm going to do is watch this Finding the Answers, the Basics of World War II Research. And one of the cousins that I connected with this summer, his mother served.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know. I want to cut this out and I want to paste the other thing in. There's the World War II Research and Writing Center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she does great work.
She does great work. So here we have a few more comments. Oh my God. We've got Drew, who knew that genealogy. Guys, listen to
It's a Drew Smith.
Yeah, I know. His parents met during World War II. New Jersey father was stationed in South Carolina. Oh, that's so sweet.
Well, that worked out really well.
Kevin says, finally made it to a live show.
Yay.
Yay. Mary says, my dad and my uncles were in World War II. Army, dad, youngest of 17 kids.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Youngest of 17?
17, yes. From Maine, in case you're wondering. And Mary says that her dad lied about his age too. His best friend was going and he lied and in he went. Yeah. I think a lot of guys did that.
Oh, yeah.
Deb says that Jennifer helped her find the morning reports for her dad. And I totally, I just have to research. Like my cousin that has his mom served, his mom never talked about her service, but he has a huge box of photographs of like the whole time she was in the Army. And he wants some help with something. And I'm going to be like, okay, we're going to trade. Mm-hmm. You need that box for a little while. Yeah. I need that box.
Yeah, I need the box. I'll give it back. I just need to borrow it for a while.
Yeah, Robin Goodman says, fascinating. I've been learning about World War I and World War II. Would love to go to that museum. Webinars, really? How do I find out more? I don't know, but we're going to look into it. And she has a question for you. How can I bring out faint writing on the back of a CDV photo? Robin, I'm going to get back to you on that because I'm trying a new program. So stay tuned on that. There are lots of ways to do it, but I'm going to hope that this new thing I'm trying will make it easier. It's about adjusting contrast and all this, but this should make it easier. So hold on to that thought for a couple of weeks and then I'll let you know. And Drew's just giving funny. So that's pretty much what I have to share. I mean, I just think we just need to like do a little clap for Jennifer Holick because her work is so original. And she really did start a whole new field. I mean, there are other people who have done some military type research, but she really set herself up with this World War II research center. And, she goes to Europe and does this. I mean, she's big time.
Yeah.
If there's something about the wars that you don't know, Jennifer probably does.
Yeah. And if she doesn't know, she points you in the right direction. She's very well connected in the World War II research community. So if there's an area that she doesn't know about, chances are she knows somebody who is. So yeah, she's a great facilitator that way too.
Yeah, well, she might just find herself with a new client. I mean, I know photographs, but stuff. And we have another. Look at this, Polly Kimmett.
Polly Kimmett.
I know her from Massachusetts and from APG and all of that. So hi, Polly.
Hi, Polly.
Oh, we have one more comment about World War II. My husband's granduncle was at Pearl Harbor.
Actually, when it was bombed. Wow.
My dad was there. He joined up in 1943, so he was there way after.
Yeah.
And I have these little collection of photographs of his that were in the back of his bottom dresser drawer. After he died, we found them. And they are mysterious photographs. One's of a Japanese couple with their baby, someone who might have been friends with. One is a bunch of soldiers on the beach with goat heads sticking in the sand.
Okay.
I don't know. The lag is back. It is those websites. If there was some way for me to get rid of them, I would. But maybe I can just close them out.
I was going to say, just close up those tabs.
There we go. Those are the problem ones.
Yep.
All right. So now, Amy, now that I've talked, what, you have a book or two to show us?
Well, I do have a couple of books. And normally I like to share books that I'm really excited about. This one, I really, really wanted to be, I was excited about it, and then I started reading it. And maybe I just need to plug through some more. Maybe it's just, but the book is called, get it up here. It's called Outrage in Ohio, A Rural Murder, Lynching, and Mystery.
Ooh.
So it's based on a true story. It's by David Kimmel, and I haven't quite figured out if it was his ancestor or if it's a collateral relative who was accused of the murder of this young girl who was apparently murdered when she was walking home from church, Northwest Ohio, 1872. Yeah, so absolutely brutal murder, and how the whole community kind of pigeonholed this group of three people and accused them, and then other things came about. And like I said, so I was really excited about the book because one, it's set in Ohio, but sort of that true crime and all that.
Yeah, like the Paul Collins stuff that I've been reading.
Yeah, I mean, right. So I really enjoy reading that. But the problem with this book is that he writes it in almost three streams going to, So he has one that's sort of creative nonfiction. So it's written like a novel, not just like a research paper. Okay, which, I can totally get behind that. But then he has so that's the beginning of each chapter will be this creative nonfiction. But then he has this stream where he's showing documents, and then he gets very analytical about them. So it takes you out of that narrative. And then he has this third stream where it's present day, and he's talking about how this research is affecting him and his family.
And who published this?
This was published by Indiana University Press.
There we go.
Yeah. So he actually says on the back cover that he's a descendant of one of the suspects. Oh, he says he is a descendant. I don't think that's right, because there's a reference, and I need to go back and find it, because I don't think he's a descendant. I think he's a collateral.
There we have it. Never make claims like that when you're writing and a genealogist is going to read it.
Yeah, seriously. And that part of me wants to finish reading this because I have found some typos that are just completely wrong. But says he's a descendant of one of the suspects in the Seacower murder. He's an award-winning professor of English at Heidelberg University in Tiffin, Ohio, where he investigates the boundary between historical writing and historical fiction. So I think that this book is his attempt of making a new genre, of combining all this, but it
doesn't work.
It's not working because you're reading this narrative, the creative nonfiction, and then all of a sudden there's his analysis of the documents.
That doesn't seem to work. That seems like a different book.
And then if that isn't enough, then he has this random stream at the end of every chapter where he's talking about himself and his family in present day. And I'm like, it's not working for me. I'm going to keep with it. We'll see what it is. But the other one that I still have hope for.
Drew says, don't forget, he's got it too. The bio admits that it's his first book.
Yeah. Well, it's not his
first books.
Is it actually his first book? Oh, Outrage in Ohio is his debut book. Yeah.
What's your other book?
My other book, which I still have hope for, is The Jersey Brothers.
What's that about?
Set in World War II, the subtitle is A Missing Naval Officer in the Pacific and His Family's Quest to Bring Him Home. True story.
True story.
Yeah, so you have this group of brothers who all went into, I think they actually all went into the Navy. And the mother was, she wasn't happy that all of her sons were in the service during World War II. The youngest one was in the Navy, and she pulled some strings and got him into a desk job. Well, that didn't work out so well when his base was overrun by the Japanese and he was taken prisoner.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's the story of trying to find him.
We have some comments to catch up with here. Kevin said that he had a great uncle from Cuttyhunk Island who was on board a Navy ship that captured a German U-boat off of the East Coast. I have photos to pass down. When I was working on a couple of little articles, local history pieces about World War II in Rhode Island, when the book came out, I just wrote something about daycare, and I wrote something about, VJ and VE Day, but nothing too deep. But one of the other authors wrote about there were 3 prisoner of war camps in this little state, and no one was allowed to talk about it, and they were secret until pretty much the book came out, which is cool. June loves Eric Larson. I love Eric Larson too, but I've read them all.
Yeah. Well, and Eric Larson does a good job with it, but he blends them together. He doesn't have it like almost like chapter 1, part 1, chapter 1, part 2.
No, Eric Larson's books
he just weaves it.
Creative nonfiction. It all flows together. And I've read them all. Some I like more than others.
Yeah.
Now I'm on to Paul Collins, which I did an interview with him this month or last month. And then Deb says you should try the book The Long Night by Andrew Little. It's an older book. It's the story of her great-grandfather that was fictionalized.
Ooh.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
I'm writing that one down.
Write that one down. Then you can report on it. My book for the month is this book I picked up on the used bookshop shelf for just a couple of bucks. It's called, I don't know if you can see it, The Strange Case of Dr. Cooney, How a Mysterious European Showman Saved Thousands of American Babies. It's written by a journalist, and it talks about a guy who was a showman but developed a way of caring for neonatal babies, and basically started the whole field of neonatal care.
Cool.
Which is very cool. I'm looking forward to reading it. It looks very readable.
More so than the book that I picked.
Right. Oh, there we go. Here's Deb's. That her book, The Long Night, was about her great-grandfather just before the Civil War and after, he was hanged for freeing slaves.
Wow.
It's a wartime connection for sure.
Yeah.
We usually talk about what's in the news. I think what's in the news for me certainly is the hurricane, another hurricane. And I think about all the photographs that are lost. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of when Hurricane Sandy hit the East Coast. And there was this woman that I'm still friends with on Facebook who found all these photographs washed up on the beach. Because people's houses get washed away and their photos got washed away. And she collected them all and then asked for some advice on how to deal with it all. And basically, if you're going to pick up photographs that are wet, do yourself a favor, get some medical examination gloves or latex gloves or whatever, gloves, because they're covered in stuff that you don't want to touch. And then you want to put it on dry cardstock, acid and lignin-free cardstock, or on top of screen, something that you get some air circulation. Mm-hmm. But Jeanette went around and collected all of these photographs. And you know what the really sad thing was?
What?
Hardly any of them got reclaimed.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, they had notebook upon notebook upon notebook of them in the Union Beach Library in New Jersey. And she did, it was weeks of work. And then some people came, but most people did not. And it was pretty well advertised that it was available.
Wow.
So, basically use those rubber tubs before the storm and, duct tape them shut. Yeah. And then you don't, maybe the water won't double wrap things and whatever.
And beforehand, scan them and get a copy up in the cloud.
Yeah, that's the first thing you got to do is scan them and get them up in the cloud so you at least have them.
Yeah, because you don't want to scan them and just leave them on your computer and then your computer dies or your computer gets, washed away in the flood and the hurricane. Yeah, you need to have a copy somewhere offsite. The cloud is a great solution for that.
Right, you do. The cloud is a good solution for that. So anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. I just always feel sad that all these photographs are going to get lost. What's in the news for you?
Well, news for me had a medical situation with a family member. Looks like it's, going to be okay, but just one of those reminders that we need to be working on these things. If you have someone that, you're thinking about, I should approach them about taking a DNA test, do it. I should be talking to somebody and getting their stories. Do it. Time is the one thing that you cannot get back.
Or I should be sharing the medical conditions I find in the genealogy records.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that, I was thinking about at this wedding. So I have these big dark eyebrows. And the first thing it's a Taylor trait, I know it is, because when I went to the wedding, I was like, her nickname was the eyebrows, and I was like, oh, of course.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was good. I was like, oh, is that a Taylor trait? And then I started thinking, they have no contact with the family, so they don't know.
So they don't know. Yeah.
All the thingies, the things. All right, here we go. We got so many comments. We've got June who's sending healing energy for your family member.
Thanks, June.
Same here. Robin is saying that her second great granduncle was stationed on the USS Lindsay that was hit by a kamikaze.
Ooh.
And she found this on a World War II memorial site. Ooh.
Wow.
And Linda, you are absolutely right when she says a lot of people were not able to reclaim those photos lost during Sandy because their homes were destroyed. That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. And they were living elsewhere with a lot of tasks to deal with. And that continues. I mean, certainly when we were in New Orleans last weekend, Katrina was front and center everywhere we went. There were buildings that have still not reopened.
Yeah.
And there were buildings that took 6, 8, 9 years, 10 years to reopen.
Yeah,
so
it's just amazing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Linda.
Yeah, and if somebody has, it's there at that local library, but if somebody has moved out of the area, they might not have ever heard about that.
Right. Or they think they're just gone.
They're just gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I got going on. Just looking at the family tree a little bit more, trying to fill it forward. And now I need to go find the digitized local newspaper and find all the obits and trace those people.
Mm-hmm.
See who's living around the corner.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, it's Rhode Island. They
everybody's
really
right
be around the
corner.
Sound like Ohio.
Yeah, you have what, 3 counties?
No, we have a few more than that.
Okay. Not many
very
more.
Big, though. No, it's not very big. It's the smallest state in the country.
Yeah.
And that's 3 degrees of separation. Everybody knows people everywhere.
Yeah.
It's an odd moment when you go somewhere and you don't know someone. It's like, oh, who are you? I've never seen you. I've never seen your face before.
Yeah. Did you just move here?
Right. You must have just moved here. And we can't find the connection, like who's related to whom. And of course, now we're related to just make it even.
Yeah. If your app ever updates.
Yeah, I'm going to look at mine. I don't know if it's updated, but Anthony did email me to say, "Hey, cousin." I was like, "I knew I liked you."
There you go.
Of course,
there you go.
9th generation cousins. That's where related does that.
It's fun. It's still fun.
We don't have a date for next month, but we will. Oh, look at this. Polly's giving me the lowdown. 5 counties.
I wasn't too far off.
Stop, both of you.
I knew it was single digits.
Both of you. Well, it's so funny because every time we talk about books, you always have a book about Ohio, I'm like, I got nothing. It's like an occasional thing.
Yeah, we have 88 counties.
88 counties.
Yeah. Well, Indiana next door isn't that much bigger than Ohio, and they have 92.
Well, look at this. Here.
Oh, then there's Texas. Delaware has 3. Okay.
3. Oh, so and then Drew, Polly beat me to that last comment. Well, God, we've got dueling genealogists on our show today.
We've got our own hecklers this week.
We've got our own hecklers. Actually, I love my hecklers.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
That's all I've got for today. I need to go find some more Taylor descendants and actually go out in this nastiness.
Well, you don't have to actually leave your house to go look for them. You can do some research online.
I have to go pick up a family member.
Oh, okay. That's different. I've got
to take family to doctor's appointments tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right.
Deal with the living Taylors.
Okay. All right. You made it sound like you were actually going to go and, wander around looking for Taylor descendants. I'm like,
no, I'd rather go look at all the obituaries. So.
Okay. Rather than go out in that nastiness.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we will see you next month for another edition of Heritage and History. Oh, look, we got one more comment to go. New Jersey has only 21 counties, but we are the most densely populated. That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
So if you have a book suggestion for us or a news suggestion or website or museum suggestion, send them to us. You can post them on the Facebook posting that is on Amy's page and my page, The Photo Detective.
Yep.
And we read them and we'll comment. And if you want to follow up with a question to us, feel free.
Definitely.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.